2, 1.
We've only got 4 of them, and there's one floating around Buzz's office at any point. You know, they're trying to migrate backwards and forwards.
There's 2 things I steal: lighters and coffee
And
mugs.
the coffee no. But it's a little bit subdued around. Normally we'd clap 5 beers, but tonight it's a weird one with just coffees and donuts.
Busy day, donuts.
It's been a busy day.
It's been you know what? There's no such thing as a holiday when it comes to activism.
No, there is no.
Hey, you know what?
Apparently, but let's start. So guys, welcome to the HotBox show. You're joined tonight by myself, Baz, Brad, Joe, Myrtle and Jules for a full house. Eh?
Full house, yeah, 3 on the couch. And I think it's the first time we've ever had a mother and son on the same couch here. So what we got is two generations here to prove that parents can be good eggs.
Yes.
And parents can bring up their kids cool with using cannabis around them, and he doesn't turn into a doers.
Oh no, he's so responsible, it's amazing. I'm incredibly proud of him.
So Brad, I think you've been on the show before with a friend from a while back. You were here maybe 6 months ago or so.
Yeah. Back
So
in the day.
as you can see, we got bigger and nicer and better.
It looks amazing.
And your mother's given us all the flags and stuff, so she's been dressing it up as well for us. The HotBox show, God.
Before we kick things off, I think we must just take a note here. As you will notice, Dan the man is not around.
Oh.
Don't worry, Oaks. He didn't die like in a drinking in the street sort of thing. No, Dan's gone on a mission, but he's going to be with us digitally, I think, from the next episode, hopefully. So we will be seeing a lot more of Dan. But I think also, guys, please send love and comments for Dan. Really, he's a cool dude.
Yeah,
he's on a mission.
I'm delighted he got himself a bit of a break in the UK for a 3-month contract, earning some serious tom. He's a talented guy, so we'll see him on HotBox, on the show, on Hangouts around.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of weird doing Hangouts. The world is just this tiny little spot now. It's really quite bizarre.
Now that you mention it, folks, our special guest tonight, and I think we'll be cutting to him in about 10 minutes or so, is Jeremy Acton, leader of the Dagga party. So please stay tuned. And also, as you guys can see at the bottom, like, subscribe, share, all that shit. Eh?
All that shit.
So what weed have we got on the table here today, Jules? I think Jules pulled out like a nug.
Yeah, no, we got a nug. We were given this nug. It's actually a silver kush, and it's actually made of Dan's, to tell you the truth. Can I have a desk cam, guys? And this really is one of those HotBox specials that are going to get quite blazed. A silver kush is crossed and crossed and crossed and crossed. A kush is a license to cross anything into anything. So this one was crossed with a silver something to make a kush of kushes. So we're going to get Myrtle to test drive it intravenously tonight.
I have already. I'm way ahead of the game.
Excellent.
I told the show about lighting my stuff.
Well done. I haven't actually had a smoke or anything for quite some time at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's not very hot in here yet today, guys.
No.
I have to work on that.
It's early.
So do you guys want to talk some shit, or should we get on to our first news story of the week in the Weedly News?
The Weedly News. Let's have a listen to what's going on in Weedville.
Alright, so this was a local story. I think it was about, what, you guys can help remind me, it was about Eastern Cape or East Coast Radio. They were fined over sex and Dagga talk. So what went down East Coast Radio? Where is that? Is it like PE or somewhere? Or
No, it's KZN up sort of north of Port Edward, all the way up, yeah.
Alright, so this story was in IOL, and it tunes the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa has fined East Coast Radio 10,000 Rand after a commissioner found the station's breakfast show hosts had glamorized Dagga and promoted sexual promiscuity when children could have been listening. So basically what happened is these oaks spoke about Dagga and sex in some context, and someone was driving along in their car, morning show, so 8 a.m-ish, on their way to drop their lightie off at school, and they were talking about weed and sex. But it wasn't just that they were talking about weed and sex. What had happened was that the show was about donating blood. So they were trying to create awareness for donating blood. Well, this is stranger than fiction. And what happened was that between the show, all the people there were saying, let's answer the questions you would get on a blood donation, in a blood donation situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
honestly, in studio. And one of the questions was, how many sexual partners have you had in the last 6 months or a year or something? And also one of the questions was, how much have you used any drugs? And if so, what drugs in the last 6 months? And the one lady there or whatever said, yes, I've consumed cannabis in the last whatever.
And this is at 7:20 in the...
Yeah, but
That's what the issue is. The time of day, I suppose.
I suppose. And I think they were a bit light-hearted about it, but it was a very serious topic. But like, what if they'd been speaking about like smoking or booze or I've got such a hangover? Would that have been okay?
They were talking about blood donation, but somebody got hung up on the word sex and the word weed. That was as a side topic. And
I
some
think that
auntie
it
got
should.
to panties and a knot.
I think that it should have been a great catalyst for and a very educational conversation there in the car with mom and her kids. Because when contentious things come up in the radio, you can't shield your kids, but you're going to wrap them in cotton wool forever. Then ask the kids, you know, what do you feel about this? What do you know about Dagga? What do you know about sex? What do you know? You know, it's never too early to speak to your kids about that. I'm not a parent, okay? But I am a teacher, and I do have loads and loads of friends who are parents, and I have loads of kids that I know. And I think that it would have been a great time to have that conversation.
Good conversation.
Do you think that conversation was on at the wrong? That was on the wrong time of day. Is that what the?
No, I don't think there's a right.
Well,
wrong
East
time of
Coast
day.
have actually contested it, haven't they?
Yeah, so what happened is BCC said that you should have put a parental advisory warning before talking about, or talking how, I don't think it was so much the content as how much they brought it across, but they said you should have advised parental advisory before this segment of the show. But East Coast Radio said, you know what, we're going to pay the fine, but actually we don't agree with you because you're infringing on our right of speech, and this is reality.
Yeah, and it's reality. And
Everyday life.
am I to believe that 10-year-olds know about weed already?
How
What do you
do
reckon?
they not? It's like it's saturated in culture. It's in pop culture everywhere. You watch a sitcom, weed references. You listen to a song, weed references.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, primary school.
They
Whoa.
don't
I'm
know
sure-
what they're talking about, but they've heard and they've picked up bits and pieces, and they're still trying to put the puzzle together.
So do you reckon this would have happened if they were talking about a single malt or a double whiskey and soda or anything?
Oh no.
Would it have been any different? Would the mother have still felt... Maybe it was the sex thing and not the Dagga that was doing her head in. Maybe she's like this frigid divorcee that just can't get it together in life. Or
I think we should be careful because if this Tanny's watching us,
Yeah, no, I don't mean... Look, Tanya, I
She's
didn't...
going to give us a thumbs
and I think if she is
down.
watching, you should tell your kid to vie out the room parental advisory now, motherfuckers.
Oh, my
Should we
goodness
say hi
me.
to anyone on the chat there? Anyone?
Yeah, Martin, hello matey. The HotBox is back. And yeah, we're back with a vengeance, with a new computer. And it looks like the tech guys are in the corner sort of behaving themselves nicely. It's all very calm in here.
Yeah.
We've even got donuts, Martin, so you know, anytime you're ready.
It's because we're narcs, we've got donuts. So, we're going to move on to Jeremy Acton now. I'm going to let Mert drive this part of the show because really she's walked the hardest. And I think the most parallel and the closest with Jeremy in terms of the legalization thing. So what we've been getting asked a lot is...
For your sins.
What we've been getting asked a lot is, what's the update with the trial? Why isn't there a constitutional court verdict yet? So my understanding is that we should have had a verdict by now. But it's kind of still in the air. But I think right now, folks at home, this is your chance to also ask. Write a comment. And we'll try and ask Jeremy your questions as well. But Mert...
Yeah. So is Jeremy on his way?
He's in and around listening.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
bring
ready
him
to
up.
go, yeah.
Here he is.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hello, good evening, Jeremy. Thanks for joining us, bro.
Can't hear him.
Can't hear.
Uno momento.
Just a sec, we're just turning up the...
Hello, give us a sound check, Jeremy. Hello.
Artist.
Yay.
Ah, perfect, yay. Hello. Yeah, Jeremy, I've been sort of thrust into the driving seat here, but I'm sure, like us, you get this question just all the time. I mean, it comes in on every form of social media, and it comes in on our email every single day. What's up with the Crown Court? So I've said my say. I've said that this is a very important decision. We don't want to rush the judges. They certainly are completely overwhelmed. I mean, this coming week we're expecting the answer on Sean the Sheep, Sean Abrams, and whether he's going to keep his job. And then they've got the land thing, and they've got, so in my opinion, I think that they're just incredibly busy. They don't want to rush this, and it's a very, very important decision. So we just got to be patient, but I must say my patience is running thin. And what about you?
Yes, the last judgment for Russ Gareth Prince in 2000, when they decided against legalizing for the sake of the Rastafarian community, took 8 months, so that was August. So we not sure when actually the judgment will come out. There are no rules for the Constitutional Court on how long it may take. We also claimed a lot of claims relative to the plant and the Constitution Bill of Rights. So it wasn't just about Section 14. Our Western Cape judgment gave a judgment in terms of Section 14 privacy, the at-home privacy, and completely ignored all of our other claims. For example, our Section 9 rights to equality to cigarettes and alcohol users, which led to, which would require the court to conduct the Hodgson test of comparison between the 3 substances, alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis, and then measure the harms, and then realized, using that test, that there would have to be some kind of inclusion of cannabis in society at laws that are not stricter than those for alcohol.
Yeah.
So those are some of the claims we've made, and they have to weigh them up, because we did tell them at the Constitutional Court hearings that if the claims that are not attended to or not dealt with in the Concord, they will go back to the High Court.
Yeah. So, you know, in this, I remember that in the judgment they described your evidence as voluminous. And I could say that us intervening added another huge voluminous pile of evidence where there was a hell of a lot of common ground. The way that I see it is that the Concord has never in the last 22 years made a decision that has expanded a High Court judgment. Because their Concord are there to go, yes, no, okay? Yes, okay, you can smoke at home, privacy, or no. So it's not as cut and dry, and maybe their minds are just being stretched a bit. Because there we came poking our noses in with all of our evidence.
Yes, and your evidence from Professor David Nutt was great, which really was worth that trial and that session of court hearings, because that evidence has been brought into our hearings now, in the Concord hearings, and I think we hit them so hard. They failed in the Western Cape on privacy, but on all the other issues like medicine, the industrial uses, the right to human sustainable use of natural resources, which is also in our Bill of Rights. I don't think they can ignore anything, and they know that they're in a catch-22 situation. Behind them are the controllers that keep this illegal, and in front of them are all the people, that is the Dagga Party, the Dagga Couple, and everyone who supports this move. So we're not quite sure how they're going to face this.
Yeah. But I must say, I haven't heard you saying lately that you kind of like bored. I'm sure just like us, you've just are inundated with busts. So won't you just tell all of our ongoing, every single day, day, there's not one day that doesn't go past that some fool thinks that it's fine to go at home and tell all his friends about it and then fight with his friends and then the cops come. Anyway, but
that's some people are well advised to still keep it as secret as possible.
Yes.
But the police have their mandate to go and find this stuff, and they just are carrying on all the time. I get at least 7 or 8 calls a week in the week, and often about 3 or 4 on the weekend.
Yeah.
And just to try and offer assistance by sending them a statement to use in the court, which informs the court about the pending judgment in the Constitutional Court, and then asks the magistrate to stay the prosecution. That's been working very well in some areas, and in some places you just have these really aggressive and stupid magistrates who will not stop the prosecution.
So which places are you having the most difficulty with?
Well, just on Friday I was phoned by a friend in Plettenberg Bay who was telling me that her house had just been raided while she was on the way to Cape Town. And then she phoned me again this morning to say that all of Plettenberg Bay area from Plet through to Nature's Valley, all the known smokers were raided. I don't know if there were search warrants or not, but there's a huge crowd of stoners in the Plettenberg Bay holding cells this weekend.
Oh
and
no!
It appears to be the usual training season for the rookie police at Oudtshoorn Police College, and they come over the mountain from Oudtshoorn and raid the garden route. So that is what's happening now, and I think it's time for a little activist session outside the police station in Plettenberg.
I think so. Do you know if anybody's been to go and visit the police there? You know, we're always telling people it's a really good idea. If you want to, we've got your letter that you put together a few months ago. We often give that out, and maybe we can make an appeal to everybody watching the show. If you'd like to go and have a friendly chat with your local cops, then please get hold of either Jeremy or myself, Fields of Green, Dagga Party, and we'll send you some stuff to take to the cops. The Davis judgment and all of that. That's really good activism. And I don't know whether it's true or not, but you know, Douglasdale police station's just down the road from us. And Julian and I went to go and see the station commander when your letter came out. And you know, we haven't had a bust from Douglasdale ever since. Only an hour, the thorn in our side is Randburg, Rudderput. It is just the worst. And you can forget about police bail, and they will always arrest you on a Thursday, so you'll be there the whole weekend.
What we're planning for Plet is that we're first going to create a WhatsApp group of all those people who got arrested this weekend.
Good.
And then we're going to actually first collectively sign a document, and then create a mass action outside the police station with posters. We're going to do this the hard way, and we're going to fight this not just one at a time. We want to do this like we did Knysna.
Okay, great, because we've got the same thing here. Yeah, we've got the same thing here. We call it the Randburg Dagga Arrest Club.
Yeah.
And we've got 8 cases so far.
They've actually been to our house for tea to meet each other, to be a more cohesive force against one miserable son of a bitch magistrate. It's like you say, Jeremy. It is all just down to human nature now. The law's the law. We understand that the cops have to uphold the law. But you know what? They don't actually have to go around busting everybody.
They don't have to be so aggressive about it.
Especially at home.
Yeah, and they don't have to be so...
They're coming into your space.
Roadblocks or something, but not raiding against this Davis judgment in the Western Cape.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly.
Can you give us an update about that horrendous story that's going on in Grahamstown as we speak?
Well, Mr. Rolf van Rooyen was arrested around about January, burning about half a ton of weed in his backyard when he knew the cops were coming. He didn't know about the whole movement, and was convicted. And but after his conviction, his girlfriend, who lives in Worcester, Western Cape, contacted me 2 days before his conviction. So I contacted the legal aid guy, who was very helpful, and he tried to make a submission on the day of conviction, and he got dismissed, and Rolf has gone down for 5 years. We first heard that it was 10 years, but it's actually 5 years for his cannabis situation. Now we're trying
Is
to
cannabis
create
bry?
some kind of word. Yeah,
Because surely they can appeal that.
Okay.
So, we're trying to create words, not an appeal, which takes months.
Yeah.
But actually just an application to the Grahamstown High Court, pointing out the facts of all the other stays,
Yeah.
pointing out the fact that he was not informed about his rights, and that he also qualifies for a stay of sentence, let
Yeah.
alone stay of conviction.
Yeah.
So it's never been, these things have never been written before. So that's one of the curious things about what we're trying to do here. If we get him out, then all the other stoners in jail could get out, maybe, you hope.
That's the bit that I live for. That's the bit I live for, Jeremy. I have a funny feeling none of us are really going to like the form of legalisation they're going to try forcing on us, but I wish to hell they'd stop treating South Africans so badly. Give them a fucking fine, or give them a docket that says be in court on Monday. But what is this story about? Just completely debasing them in a jail for the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the holding process allows the courts to, the police stations to pull in their claims for future funding. That was mentioned in the Western Cape High Court, came out in the evidence, that we are the fodder for police stations scrambling for the police budget.
Yeah, it's quotas.
They build their number of arrests by going out to keep people in the cells so that it shows.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's a
so
statistic. That's what it is. Yeah. So we got on the live feed here. We got Canna Shop South Africa, and they're asking what happened to the letter to the NPA. But I think you're talking about a letter, a Fields of Green letter to the NPA.
So
that
our letter to the NPA, we got a reply, and they said that they're instructing the DPP to take it on a case-by-case basis.
Stalling.
So at the moment, we're busy with contempt of court proceedings because on a case-by-case basis in Randburg Court, we are still being wholesalely rejected. To try and get the stay of prosecution must be given at the magistrate's court. You know, it's hell of expensive in time, money, resources and everything, because we're getting so many cases to put them all through the high courts. So
ka-ching, ka-ching.
we're trying to streamline it a bit, put it through at magistrate's level. It's working perfectly in some places. I think we've already got 12 stays in the magistrate's court. But it's just a few of these magistrates' courts that we're just not getting there. Yeah.
It also seems to me that some courts that previously gave these stays is now being instructed by someone to not give these stays. And in the Genadendal, Greyton, Caledon area, all coloured people, if I may point out that this is a racial issue too, all Khoi and coloured people are being given community service despite actually handing in their statement that claims for their stay of prosecution. They're just being used as slave labour, 10 hours each, and the arrests continue in the Southern Cape near Caledon.
Yeah, Caledon's always been a sticky one because we do have a few stays from the old days. But Jeremy, this is also terribly serious. I wonder if you can tell us what you're smoking tonight.
I have smoked. I've just got a really lousy old parcel that I found.
Oh, even the new ones are old, Bruce.
Can you show us? Can you show us? Hold it up in front of the camera.
Oh, you're a card, Jeremy. Fuck, I don't know. There it is. The But you know what, Jeremy? That's the same one that you had here in April.
No, I can promise you I've smoked at least 20 of those before
Oh my goodness me. So
another story about arrest. You might remember the Shepstone
Yes.
Yeah.
What's it? Fort Shepstone.
Yeah.
Which
We did.
was, let me turn this around. Can you see the massive bust? Sheppy Hawks. Can you see that?
Yeah, now we can see your laptop there, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, with the guy trussed up there, but that's...
Yes, okay, zip-tied, Sheppy Hawks, there is the dogs were taken away from the property while everyone got arrested. There's another guy lying in his lounge.
Yeah, but...
that's the Grove.
This is the Hungarians though.
Okay.
This is the foreign nationals one that's really, really complicated.
Yes, yes there are. But they had to give in their passports so they're not a flight risk. So the way the story went is they handed into the magistrate their accused stay statement asking for a stay of prosecution.
Yes,
and
that, yeah.
gave it to them. And they got home and the police were there again and were rearrested them. They were then taken before a different magistrate who denied bail.
For 40 days.
Then they reapplied and they denied bail again. Now, two of the many accused in this case have been sitting without bail for 6 months in Westville prison.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we then filed our papers for a hearing on the urgent role and application for a stay of prosecution and for their release. Then the Hawks guy who arrested them in the first place was apparently in Durban on Friday, and then they got a phone call from a clerk or a registrar saying that the urgent role application was not granted and that they'd have to wait until the opposed role in April 2019.
No!
So, they also asked, please can you tell us who your counsel is? Because these folks, these accused don't have counsel anymore. They did all the paperwork themselves. And we crushed them in the papers, okay? And then they said, well, we're not prepared to talk to you without speaking to counsel. So they now are not communicating with the people, and now this week, this coming week, we're going to try and get a written statement and signed PDF file from the judge who refused the urgent role, so that we can take it further, because this is just hearsay. This is just a clerk phoning up to say, oh no, it's not on the roll. So there's great potential for some kind of meddling going on before it gets to the judge.
Sounds like
Jesus, what a story.
And the thing is that we've got stays in Pietermaritzburg and Durban High Courts. Yeah.
This is the Durban High Court.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many have been played in the Durban High Court.
I think only one. One of ours, yeah.
Do you remember the original Durban 5? Do you remember the guys from 2013 or so, Travis?
Yes.
We're in constant communication with that guy. He's a friend of ours now, really, since all of that. And his High Court, the Pietermaritzburg High Court, is just waiting to see what happens with the Concourt before they decide whether they put those guys back down for 8 years. He's already done 14 months in Westville, eh?
Have they been allowed to come out pending the...
Oh yeah, no, they're out. No, they're out, and the others, the 4 of the 5 are in. They've opted to go for a completely new life in a new place, and they're trying to walk away from it. But it's real, you know. That it hasn't been finalised. It's still open. The book's still open in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, and they are waiting for the Concourt, just like lots of other magistrates and High Court judges around the country. So good job, man. We've managed to clog the thing up a bit, eh?
Yeah.
Because we got 9 out of 11 High Courts now.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's all about locking up the state's resources in their abuse of us. Now we are fighting back.
Yeah.
We are fighting back.
Millions. Okay?
Yeah.
And let's make it 20 million before the judgment. Every single person must never pay a fine.
No, never, ever, ever. Or a bribe.
Yeah.
Or a bribe. Yes,
Yeah.
put it out, taunt it out, sing it out, get to the court, and then stay your prosecution. Or go to the High Court, or just don't play their game.
No, exactly. But it's not the easy way out, it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yes, you know, for sure you've got to be tough to stay in a holding still.
Yeah.
Jeremy, can I change tack now for the last little segment of your visit to us? Can you give us the upfront and personal take as to why you think the Dagga Party Facebook page ended up being hacked? It's the weirdest story, dude. I didn't know you had so much worldwide potential for anarchy, actually.
Well, I really don't know. I got my computer checked out by Linux experts. He found some weird scripts on my computer. They've been deleted and cleaned up, but this person got in possibly via my computer. I don't know how they hacked my Facebook password. They never used it for anything else or my other groups. This was specifically to the Dagga Party only. And we don't know. There was a fake profile of some Arab name, sort of a very cut and paste profile, random photos and stuff, which was under somebody's name, and that's been deleted, but they still control the website. So and then we also wrote through all the channels we possibly could to Facebook with screenshots, and nothing has happened.
No, it won't.
You won't even have got to a human being at this point. You won't even have made contact with a human in any form.
Yeah. So I have heard of some people getting replies back within 10 days, but that's probably just a myth.
Now start a new page and walk away from the old one.
Yes, but all that work.
I know.
And we know, as soon as we heard that, Jeremy, we just backed up all of Dagga Couple up and changed the passwords of all of our social media that day, because the first thing that went into my head was, is it the elections? You know, are we all some sort of election threat, or? But that's a bit far fetched. But it could be real enough.
Let's just talk about the potential of this movement, because as a result of South Africa waking up to the medical facts of cannabis oil, everyone supports this as a resource for medical health. We all smoke it as from a cultural or recreational background. We know about the potential of its use for fuel and industry and job creation and tourism and all the poverty alleviation side of things. And so maybe this is the issue that has to be dealt with by the movement, by actually believing in the system once to play the game of election.
Yeah.
Try to all meet up, not outside Parliament, but in Parliament.
In green overalls.
In green overalls.
Green dungarees.
And it's really also about the young people of South Africa. Hey guys, it's your future that you've got to deal with. Okay. The older folks in the movement have less time on Earth. You have to live longer on this planet. And do you want to actually unlock a resource for your survival, or do you just want to be persecuted by a fascist government? It's your choice. So that means when you exercise a choice, you must make a move and you mobilize. And it's very easy just to take an ID book down to the IEC and clog them up with registering to vote. And then we have a nice Dagga festival on voting day. And we can do this, actually. This movement is way past the tipping point in the way we view this plant in South Africa now. And so we've just got to express it in a real way where we're not begging this oppressor government to legalize it for us. We have to be the government to legalize it for ourselves.
Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
Civil disobedience.
Yeah, we are going to write the regulations, not them. They don't know anything about Dagga.
Exactly.
We are going to write the regulations and tell them what we want. Yeah.
We don't speak, we can't be heard.
That's the mission.
Do we have any more questions?
Maybe we can just I'm asking the people of South Africa to say we've got such a lot of problems in this country. It's the platform, the Dagga Party platform is not just something you vote next to you and maybe you don't or do donate, we need 300,000 rand just for the deposit to participate.
I was just about to ask that. Okay.
Any kind of money for any kind of campaign. Obviously, we have social media and virality, but if we don't have the money for the deposit, we're not in the game. So that depends on the people themselves as well, globally and locally.
Yeah.
All right, man. Jeremy, it's been great catching up with you on the three main issues that we're always touching base with: the stays of prosecution, waiting for the Concourt, and thanks for clearing things up about the Dagga Party Facebook page. I know there's people in the background to do things about it. I know Chris J's there. And Chris J, big up to you for helping the Van Ryan saga in Grahamstown as well, visiting the prison, clean clothes. It sounds like an absolute shithole in there, Jeremy.
Yeah, probably Eastern Cape is bad.
Yeah, man. So we are embarking on a sort of 2-month tour to all the provinces now, culminating in Drug Policy Week in the second week of October in Cape Town. So that's probably the next time we touch base with you in person, bro. Okay. So thank you very much for joining the HotBox tonight.
Thanks for the participation and allowing me to be on the show.
And you change the world one packet of tarries at a time, okay?
Yes, for sure. I'm going to smoke one now.
Good. Enjoy it. Have one for us.
Thanks, Jeremy. Cheers.
Right there.
Yes, that's what a character.
Gotta love him.
I've got to
looking
say,
very dapper, eh?
Yeah.
not in a hemp suit.
I like the way that it was all framed for 8 joints a day for SA
It was
politicians.
like a mirror image, yeah. Thank you, tech team, for that. That was a great connection. Thank you very much.
Guys, all round, that was amazing. Thank you. It's wonderful.
Just do a quick break into this lot a minute. So Martin Latham's asking a bit of old news about the secret farm in KZN. What happened to the Dubai port thing? And I think he's referencing your article for the High Co. We believe it's dead in the water, Martin. We haven't actually gone there for a while because it's like a has-been news. It's not on our radar much anymore. People got spooked because of the amount of publicity we gave them, perhaps, and so that's not on our radar much. And Creston Camphor, welcome to the show, matey. When are you in the Northern Cape? The Northern
Cape. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're leaving tomorrow.
It's our favourite province, matey. We go on holiday there all the time.
Let us know where you are. We're collecting places because we have quite an ambitious plan to try and cover South Africa with our Desired Outcomes tour. So we'd like to come and speak to you, the cannabis user, trader, cultivator, underground, above ground, day, night, however you operate. We'd like to speak to you. We're not hitting the road to tell everybody how wonderful cannabis is. We're hitting the road to tell everybody how terrible prohibition is and what we want to do about it.
And Creston's in Berkeley West. That's a big town.
Berkeley West.
Berkeley West, we know Berkeley West. That's Tiger's Eye country.
Yes.
Jasper, that's where you dig all the big holes with the diggers round your town, isn't it, to make all of the tigers?
Well, that might be
the weirdest thing, all the way around the town for 100 k's, all over, in the well, it's not fields, in the veld, there's these massive earth movers just digging and digging and digging to find seams of tiger's eye to polish and sell. It's one of the biggest loads around. Yeah. Wow, Haley, hello from Krakow. Krakow, Poland.
Oh.
Hell of a thing.
Were you calling it Krakow? Mama's a Krakow.
And,
how's it? Thank you for tuning in, guys. It's wonderful. It's like really lovely.
And Kamikaze, good evening. Hello, matey. And PZ Grow, I can't wait for the day Discovery has to pay for my pot.
It's the same day we're on DSTV.
Are you a pot smoker?
Yeah.
When did you first start smoking a joint? When did you? Did
I was 18.
Did you steal?
That's because your mommy's here answer.
18, because we agreed 18.
Did he steal her weed?
No, I didn't need to
You
steal.
didn't need to. I said to him, bro, rather instead of going to dodgy places, just come to me. I'll make
That's
sure
the
that-
whole
point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I don't want him getting something that's been sprayed with doom so that it's got nice, pretty crystals.
Like Myrtle says, we haven't got kids, but we know, it doesn't mean we don't know anything about kids. We can be very objective about the whole thing because there's all this blind love between a parent and a child. You don't see the wood for the trees
The
after.
more honest you can be with each other, it's just so much easier.
All the kids that I've met, whose parents condoned their use of weed, I've said it on the show loads. They're my favourite kids. They're the most balanced kids of all because they've done all of that.
He's so responsible.
They've done all of that.
He's got a good job. He's a good human being. I mean,
He rolls good joints.
Rolls good
Oh,
joints.
excellent joints. This is a
yes,
This
yes.
is a-
masterpiece.
It put your interview hat on quite well.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
you
I
did
think
very.
so.
Yeah.
It's nice weed. It's this thing.
And well done for remembering to ask Jeremy about his tarries.
Yeah, I had to ask Jeremy about his tarry because he was getting very, very serious.
As he's what he
Because
is.
we do. I mean, the
It's
world
just-
people, Jeremy, myself, Joe, and we live in the serious world of drug policy and busts, and the guys live in the social media world and social activism world. So it's quite different. Sometimes it gets you down, you know, when it's just bad news all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's those son of a bitches out there that just want to diss you on social media because they've got fuck all better to do.
Well,
you get a bit of that every now and again. You know?
Let's
Let's
not address the first prize for being a dickhead this week. Let's address second prize for being a dickhead.
Okay.
So what someone said online, I can't even remember where, but basically it was, you start doing nothing for legalization. You just want to make shows.
That was on Instagram this morning.
You just want to make shows. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be real with you guys. What we're doing here is, you at home, the intention is always been for an hour or two a week to take it down a gear for us and invite you into this space with us so we can update you and have you around the table, part of the HotBox.
And have a weekly giggle, actually.
Yeah. And this is us in the very little bit of free time we have, which isn't much, because I promise you, the day-to-day grind of legalization ain't fun. If some motherfucker wants to stream me doing spreadsheets, oh yeah,
Oh yeah, we could put a filter on it. We could put a nice soft filter on it.
Yeah.
A little vignette and
and effects, some. But I promise you, let's be real. This is fun, and this is why we do this, because we want to be with you, because we enjoy this culture. This is what really brought us all together, I think.
Yeah.
But really, if you think this is it, ripping bongs 24/7,
No way.
you got it wrong.
Sure, yeah, because if I was a stoned at this all the time, I wouldn't get anything done.
No.
The HotBox is my stoniest part of the week. The 1 hour of the HotBox is like face melting stuff most of the time.
Decompressing.
Because as Martin says, you know, we went whoa to the tarries, but he says, you know, there's only 1% of the people got sweat. Everyone's smoking now.
Yeah,
That's what it is. That's the lifeblood
We
of
blessed.
the cannabis culture.
No, we be blessed.
Admittedly, 1% beer on this table,
Yeah.
which I get. But you know what? I'll acknowledge, I would have smoked that Tari all day, every fucking day. And I promise you, if I ain't got no weed, I'd be smoking it even with
You
the
know what?
red
There's plenty of people extracted that tarries to make a really plausible, nicely balanced, weak oil that doesn't freak people out. It's a really good starter pack to get into cannabis, actually.
Yeah.
Doesn't fuck you up, doesn't trash you out. It's a good way of getting into
No, you can't
cannabis.
pass on what we
But
smoke.
The only thing it fucks up is your throat.
It's like wildfire. Let's get into our next story of the week. This story was in transafricaradio.net. I have never heard of this site, but it was a pretty interesting story. It seems localish. A warrant officer arrested for smuggling Dagga into correctional facilities. A warrant officer from the South African Police Service was arrested on Tuesday for smuggling Dagga into the Polokwane Correctional Centre in Limpopo. According to officials at the correctional facility, the SAPS member from SAPS Mankweng was fetching inmates who were due to appear in court today when a correctional official on duty caught him smuggling Dagga for an inmate in the centre.
Wow.
And what happened then, so the prison guards became aware of this, so they called the cops, and they came and they arrested Doug. But basically this is a cop muling weed into prison.
Yeah.
Keep it in the family.
Well, keep it in the family. Imagine correctional services shopping the cop.
Yeah.
You know, we've done. I think we had a headline about this a while back. We mentioned how much they're under pressure to clean the place up. They have to clean all the jails up because there's been all sorts of reports about the amount of Dagga's the least of their problems in jail.
Yeah.
There should be Dagga. Yeah.
Thank you.
There should be Dagga in jail.
There should be.
There has to be.
There is.
There must be.
There is.
It is actually fundamental to a South African jail that people are nullified with low-grade twack to stop the fights, to stop just people. They're more irie, even if they're fucking mass murderers.
Do you know what that sounds like? That sounds to me like if hippies and Nazis had a baby, and then it becomes like weed camps. If you misbehave. Like,
Well, you know, we were speaking with Jeremy about the Durban Five. Our advocate always used to call their case the travesty because it was a terrible case. I won't go into the details, but Travis, who was of the travesty, has become our friend, and so he told us all the stories from 14 months in jail, and he said that the warders in the jail definitely welcomed the weed. They said when there was a new weed in the house, they said that's good, everybody will be calm, there won't be too much fightings and stabbings and whatever. But sure, you know, when these people go around and tell us the stories of what goes in jail, it's
what about
hysterical.
the two the other day, the guy with the poncho? Yes, if you want to check these guys that came, I just, Buzz and I gave them a completely wide berth. They were with you for ages.
but I could
check
tell
this.
it was a
Yeah.
situation.
So these people came around. It's very, very fresh. They were arrested 7 weeks ago, so they were quite freaked out, and yeah, they spent 11 plants in their garden. Okay, he thought it was all legal. You know, 5 days in Sun City, which is out near Diepkloof, Soweto side, and it's our notorious Joburg prison. And so he said that late at night, what they do is they play this game where they get a milli sack, and it's one of those woven with plastic milli sacks, and they take a short guy and they put the milli sack over his head, and then they all line up like this, and then they roll the short guy along the line, okay, and at the bottom of the milli sack they unravel all that plastic stuff, and then they roll this guy around and round and round and round and round, and they end up with these huge piles of all of that plastic stringy stuff. And then on the other end, there's guys that sit and they plait. And they plait it into a big long rope. And then they get a 5 litre and cut it off. And then they lower it out the window. And then on the other side of the wall, there's their Chinas on the other side. And they lob these big balls of weed over the wall. And then they scoop it up with a 5 litre. And he said that happens most nights.
Yeah, sure.
Well, he was there for 5 days, so I thought that was the most bizarre story.
It is so. You think it's true?
Stories of
Fact or fiction?
How could you make it up? Why on earth would you make that up? You know,
There's been stories of cops.
they were
selling
genuine
weed at the
people. They were
courts.
really real people. They were salt of the earth folk.
Really awesome. They are. They're an amazing couple. They're in fresh trauma still.
But
as
you know
well.
what? They're really good
It's
activists
traumatizing.
now because they got the hell in. They were treated like fucking pigs. What about the woman said she was hustled all the time about women who would do anything. You can have anything you want as long as I can have your hair. Like for a wig.
So she didn't want to go to sleep in case they cut her hair off in the middle of the night.
This is like Orange is the New Black kind of shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it is.
do you think you get indoor grade weed in prison if you pay the right price?
I think so.
You think
Yes,
it's indoor?
I reckon,
Yeah.
by the sounds of it,
Yeah.
I reckon you get whatever you want.
And how do you think you get indoor in like prison? Do you think they have to make an indoor grow inside some oak and then harvest it in him? I don't know. Or do you think they
Like a ship in a bottle.
Yeah, how do you get the indoor into into prison? Because
Well, they chop it up and they groom it and they put it in a banky and stick it up their arses like any other weed. What you mean? How to bring a lab in?
a lab in.
Lab in. Who brought that fucking Labrador in? Today a police officer was fucking nailed for smuggling dogs into Polokwane jail. This guy's in deep shit.
No, he's fucked.
They're throwing the book at him because it's been reported extensively. But I've done a little checking around on the history of it. I got interested in that because for a blog post or something.
So did you go check his Facebook profile?
No,
and everything?
I just went to check if you put the searches in. 2015, 14, 13, 2009, 2007, Mailer Guardian, 2005. Cop bust for bringing weed into prison. He got caught. It happens fucking 100 times a day in 300 prisons around the country every day of the week. He just got caught in a fucking really...
Sorry for you.
Every now and then somebody's got to take the fall.
But interesting that the uniform bust the uniform, eh?
Oh, but yeah,
that'll put a big fucking strain on
Yeah,
things.
but you don't know who had what with what, whose girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, maybe the warrant officer just shagged the prison warder's wife or something.
Do you think you get dabs in prison?
What about an e-nail, bro? A fucking bicycle powered e-nail or something.
Friction. Those things you go.
How do you get an e-nail up and running in a prison? Dabs, pop, pop, fizz, 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 and you fucking jumping off the nail.
So we're gonna try something new again tonight. Let's hope we don't break things. A skiss. So we're gonna do the little thing. This was an Instagram video, and it was titled "How to Become the First Person to Die from Weed." And it's basically someone trying to OD
Where do you get this
with a dab rig hooked up with the hose. Hit play there. Oh, check this thing.
God damn it. That's a hell of a thing. That's really weird. Is that the thing that's like a 20 litre water from an office?
Yeah. Can we check? We can't see it there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh.
So it's basically a dabbing with homemade scuba.
It's a gas mask thing. It's just like Joe's gas
It's
mask
just like
thing.
the gas mask.
And it looks
Which,
like
by
it's
the way, I got from him.
Ah.
And it looks like
Mother's
it's
Day.
his
They were the
chick
ones
that's
that broke
dosing
it.
him. Looks like it's his chick that's dosing him on the side. You can't really see now. Oh god.
Fucking hell.
Come
Oh
on,
my goodness.
dimension.
Did he go in looking like that? Maybe his head's like, look at him, he's completely kashpozzled.
My
Yeah, fucking toothless grin, tattoos all over his face.
dab of that.
Man alive.
Going on the face.
That's funny, eh? How long do you reckon they kept the thing going for after he did
Through a
that?
vacuum.
Because this is like 15 seconds on Instagram. It probably ran for an hour while he did. That's quite a machine he's got going there, eh?
It's the vacuum
Little
that
mattress
changed the
bubble.
pipes around
They're sucking it in.
through the
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a mini boomzuka.
Yeah, it's
So
one of
then
those hand vacuum thingies. Oh.
Do dabs make you fat?
No.
I just have to think, why?
Hey, look, how many...
Why not?
Well,
Why not?
if we go live to that page, let's see how many views that thing's had. That's why.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's the
why.
only reason
But
why.
now, so Dan was chatting to me about this before he vied. How many views?
12,686.
A mazillion views. A mazillion views. Your Oaks around
12,600 views.
So Dan was telling me this is, and I've heard this as well, that this is loosely based. There's also satire on the study that says weed kills brain cells, because for a long time, the U.S. government said weed kills brain cells.
The monkey story.
That's it, and just say no and all that shit. But when it came like that this information that the study was based on became publicly available after like 25 years or 30 years or whatever it is in the US, they found out that the study was done on monkeys, and what had happened was that the scientists had pretty much been fucking around, I don't know, smoking weed or some shit, and then they had to actually crunch a whole lot of time or a whole lot of work into a very short amount of time. So what they did is they basically put gas masks on the monkeys and fed them like that, just weed, until they died.
Recreationally.
That's it. No oxygen, no nothing. They fucking Nazi'd these monkeys with weed smoke until they died. And then they said that's what killed their brain cells. Meanwhile, it's because they were...
No,
Yeah, I've seen little bits of footage and photographs of it, and it's so distressing. It's just disgusting.
It's just like...
It's like they were in medieval times or
Yeah,
something.
they're not
What
evolved
were they
at all.
thinking? And it was there. It was in the 20th century. It wasn't so long ago. I think it was in maybe the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think people still believe that weed kills brain cells?
Yes.
I
You'll
think...
be amazed.
I don't think
Yeah.
they get killed. I don't think they get died and finished in claw.
Just
I do
slightly
think they
abused.
stop firing.
Okay.
And you can look at that as being restful and calming, and the other could be just duff and not getting it together. Like, there's lots of Pineapple Expresses around here.
No, there
There's
are.
lots of really dysfunctional fucking stoners around. And are they that because they're stoners, or did stoners make them into that, or are they just that anyway? And
No, they
stoners-
wouldn't be. They would if we'd made you like that, then
There'd be
why,
more of
why
us.
aren't we all like
There'd be
that?
more of us.
Yeah,
Why aren't we all like
it's
that?
just, it's,
Yeah, true story.
it's a choice to be like that.
No.
And it's
You
a thing you
up
get
and
over
you
as
choose
well.
whether you're going to sit on your ass all day. You can smoke weed all day and be hell of a productive.
Well,
You know how to
sometimes
do
it
that.
takes
Adaptive.
sometimes it takes
Unadaptive,
people years to
man.
grow up.
Yeah.
It does. It takes
He
years.
knows how, and he's
Yeah.
24.
It took me a while to get it, but I finally got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you give them
Been
a couple of
adult.
years to like get
Yeah.
into, because you know.
Yeah, gap year.
Mom's always told me that if I smoke weed, I'm going to be stupid and lazy and unmotivated. And so, now
So
I
let's
smoke
give it a
weed
go.
and I like
Yeah.
it, therefore I can be now stupid, lazy, and unmotivated.
A couple of years ago, I got tick bite fever and ended up on a couch for 4 days. And Myrtle took a photograph of it because it was the first time she'd seen me on a couch for 4 days. Weed doesn't slow me down and make me doff really.
No, it
might
slows
make
me
me
down.
conceptualise a little more instead of getting on and doing it. I might think another couple of hours about it.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I'm fired up on weed most of the time.
Yeah, same here. But for me, it definitely slows me down, but not like in a negative sense. It helps me focus
Nice joint.
because it's very easy to get distracted. But I think something stood out for me from what Joe said there. But it's not Joe's words, this is my words. If you've got a kid, don't worry about your kid if he's stealing a little bit of your weed. Start worrying when he starts stealing a little bit of your meth.
Yeah, that shit's expensive.
So let's move on to our next story of the week. This is a weird one. I'm going to read the whole thing because you've got to digest this thing. This was in the New York Post. It's titled, "Hundreds Voted for Candidate Who Claims He Comes from Aliens." The Green Party candidate in a too close to call house... sorry, let's start this again. The Green Party candidate in a too close to call house race in Ohio, who claims he comes from aliens, speaks 19 languages including sheet music, and advocates that all Americans should have, not optional, have to grow hemp, got 1,127 votes, which isn't much, but you got to hear the rest of the story. Joe Manchin's vote tally is crucial in the photo finish between the Republican Troy Balderson, who got 101,000 votes, and Democrat Danny O'Connor, who got 99,000 votes, a margin of 1,000 whatever. Had Manchin's votes gone to O'Connor, it would have triggered an automatic recount. So basically what they're saying is this dude has become, he got small manana votes, small manana, but because the other parties were so close, he's kind of like the EFF of Ohio now.
I was just going to say the EFF.
Not even the Christian Democrats.
But now you have to imagine me doing this in Julius Malema's voice, because this dude claims my distant relatives originally came to planet Earth from a planet orbiting a star in the Pleiades star cluster located in the constellation of Taurus. Among the tongues Manchin is fluent in are English language in the United Kingdom, Old Speak, Winnebago, Nissen, and Kawasaki.
Winnebago. You know what Winnebago is? He just has a bit of Tourette's. That's what that means. Remember Winnebago Man?
That was
Remember that fucking documentary? Winnebago Man.
hashtag Winnebago Man. Go check it out. But
Yeah.
it's better because in an interview, Manchin, wearing a t-shirt sporting a rainbow-coloured peace sign, was asked for his website address so people could donate money to his campaign.
Fair play.
He replied, no, off the top of my head I don't remember.
Excuse, do you remember the address of your website?
No, don't call out the stoned.
So it's very loosely weed-based, this story, but it is amazing that someone who is clearly this far out, I say far out,
He's
generously,
quite far
not in a mean way, but
No,
just
just
goes
far out, just-
Yeah, no, he's a bit fringe.
Would you vote for him?
Yeah.
Who voted for him then?
Well, I reckon
People
the
who-
weed people voted for him. There was 1,127, however many votes, people that thought,
just wanted to give
well-
a middle finger somehow.
yeah.
The third vote to
Yeah.
stop the dichotomy of the fucking Republicans and the. But this Palladian thing, it's like I've heard it before. There's a few people like him. I think there's a whole bunch of them on Earth, the people who came from the Palladians. So I've heard this story before, But it wouldn't make me vote for it. But I'd vote for anybody that made it compulsory to grow weed, whether it was 0.03% THC or what it was.
Yeah, but maybe it's just there. But I'd be like, but can I grow dank? And he'd be like, no. So maybe I wouldn't vote for him. Maybe I'd vote for him because of the alien shit. Because do you know what? I'd rather vote for that oak who's real about his craziness than some other random person.
Not exactly. I mean, we've got to vote next year. Who the hell do you vote for? Yeah. If he came along, I reckon I'd vote for him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness me, that's a really funny story. Where did you just say it was from the Post? Yeah?
The New York Post.
The New York Post.
Anyone we should say hi to there?
Oh yeah, Michael Oosthuizen is telling everybody here that the guy with the fucking bong, the big dude with the tattoo, he says it looks like an uncle of his that passed away last year.
Now you know why he passed away.
And he says same toothless grin.
There's no grain on the
Oh fucking hell, that's funny. Yeah, 1,000 people got the plug in Ohio for sure. Honestly, the guy, it's a make and break thing. With this guy in the state, it means that he actually gets a place in a parliamentary seat just by default because they need him for the coalition.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so keep voting, guys, or something. I don't know.
Cool.
That's the thing. There's Jeremy saying we have to actually fit into the system and vote the shit out of it because the cannabis culture is more than 50% of the country. That in my really small estimate.
But the thing is, to contest an election is
hectic.
huge undertaking. I don't want to, not in a million years, thank you. Good luck, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Really.
Politics.
If you,
For that.
I hope that somebody comes up with money and that he can run with it and everything, but no, it's not my job.
There's people who do it for a living. He would,
Yeah,
if
and
he
it
got
takes
the budget,
and years and years.
if he got the budget, he would, or, as he says all the time, ever since I've known him, all it takes is one seat. And one seat, the maths of one seat is like 26,000 votes or something last election is what he said. So, you know, it is in the bounds of reason. If somebody gave him half a bar,
he'd be
and if you turn that into Canadian dollars, 50,000 Canadian, yeah? It's fuck all. It really isn't much. And if he could hire some people with his proper CV, not his stoner mates from fucking Cool Runnings, somebody that's run campaigns before. That's what the EFF have done. They must have done that. They've got a massively amazing machine in place.
Yes.
They're being funded through T-shirt City.
Yeah.
They're filling stadiums, they're on the road, they're fucking raising these conversations, and you gotta give them a big up for that somehow.
Yeah, I
know they're revolutionaries and it's fucking out there. They're inciting lots of cack, but as a machine, if the Dagga Party could emulate something like they were 5 years ago,
With a more positive vibe.
right?
Nothing to lose because
Yeah.
frankly we've got nothing to lose at this point.
So if anybody there is out there who knows somebody who's working in a foreign exchange currency, 50,000 US is fuck all. Send it Jeremy's way. He's already smartened himself up. Look, he looks great in black.
Yeah, man. And we'll send you a signed poster.
And we said,
Let's move on to Dear Dagga Couple. So what we started doing is looking for sort of the questions we get asked the most. Not always the most unique, but questions we get asked a lot. This week's question was, hi there, we are trying to grow Dagga. We need assistance, please. It's in a greenhouse. We don't know what soil to use, and. Please give us a little advice. But in my mind, you need a whole lot of advice.
it's a massive, you know, they floor us when they come through to me for an idea. Dagga
Where do you
Couple.
start?
Where? But why did they ask the question without just checking it out a little bit? Fuck, you can
take
get
a seed, you take some
it's
soil.
it's difficult sometimes to remember that there are people out there that know nothing about the plant that we've been surrounded by all our lives.
They're trying to
It's so
overcomplicate it
normal
before
to
the word
us.
go. It's
Hey,
just-
sorry, what?
I said they're trying to overcomplicate it before they even hit the word go.
Yeah, maybe they're expecting, you know, bud porn. Maybe they're expecting too much of it to begin with.
Some people just are not meant to grow. I can't grow.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I can't even grow black jacks. No, actually
Blackjack's my favourite. To the lady who asked, I haven't answered that personally yet, and we have answered every single one of them for 8 years, 9 years personally. So it's a really big question to ask, and we normally send them in a couple of directions, mostly onto Reddit and into news groups and stuff. But I can't answer that question every single day. It's too big.
Yeah, it's too, exactly. It's very
420
loaded.
SA. Go and join the forums.
Yeah, check 420 SA. We can also go check on the HiCo. We've just got a very nice beginner's guide, what you need to start thinking about, where to begin. Because the problem I find with weed is back in the day, there was 2 ways to learn. You learn it from someone you knew, or you would get a book if you were lucky enough. And that made it very easy because you could just follow that. There was no interference. There was no
other opinion. There was just the book's opinion.
Now you go and their opinions are so overwhelming. There's just so much information to try and disseminate. And then also you make the mistake of finding the information that agrees with your opinion.
Right.
So I get why it's so difficult. But I rate 420 SA. Check them out. IC Mag, check it out. Go start at, check the HiCo. But I'll say now, if you've got a greenhouse now, it's maybe not the best time to plant. Your plants are going to grow. They're going to
They might be, I don't know if they're in South Africa or where, but I presume they're in South Africa. They must be in South Africa.
No, it's too early.
Check out the articles because it is so loaded. So loaded.
We will answer that question. It came up this week.
Okay.
And we'll send them off to a couple of links, but we won't get into the realms of things. But you know what? We are so fucking nice and polite and gracious and ego-free when we just try and help people along the way and get on with the next thing, not go, oh fuck, why don't, let me Google that for you. You know, like some sarcastic fucker
would.
would.
Like an in-depth conversation about it, you know, it's just because we've got
so many of them,
to everybody else,
Yeah.
There's so many questions.
If you can grow tomatoes, you can grow weed.
You know, no, it's a
Google
pretty
this for
easy
free.
plant to grow. Most people don't give it enough light and space because they're paranoid. But if you give it light and space, you're going to get a big plant, even if it's a small one.
Don't love it to death, eh?
African sun, viva!
Cool. So you guys were saying earlier you are going on road trip soon. Any dates or anything in mind?
Yeah, we're going to go to the north of Botswana with a tent and out of comms for 4 months.
We're going. We're hitting KZN first with our desired outcomes tour. So watch our newsletter. Please sign up for the Fields of Green newsletter. Because Facebook, the algorithm is not really playing with us so nicely at the moment. So we send out a weekly newsletter with all the latest stuff that's going on. And we'll send out the dates of where we're going to be. But end of August, we start in the north of KZN and work all the way down to the south.
And then we do the Midlands on the way back home on that one.
And then the Midlands on the way home. And then...
we got commitments in Joburg for a while, and then we go back out again.
Yes, and then we go to the Eastern Cape after that in the middle of September. And then in the beginning of October we're going to be in Cape Town for Drug Policy Week. But we'll let everybody know, but expect us out and about in a town near you soon.
Cool, man. That's great, eh? And then guys, please also remember, check out Fields of Green, check out Dagga Party. Please be patient about their Facebook page. Jules, I heard rumours of a Bobby Greenhash special, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. Bobby and I have been in conversation. We are amped to go down and see the Bobby Greenhash Foundation and all his work, and we'll arrive there on a Thursday. So I reckon the whole crew should come down and we should do a live gig from the Greenhash Foundation the week after next. Next week's guests, we're going to listen to an amazing story of how cannabis is medicine and actually pretty much reversed a full-blown cancer.
Okay.
So there's a husband and wife team coming in to talk about their journey, and we now know them as being the most amazing activists for the cause because they are living proof. So that's exciting. Next week we're going back to the medicine trail for no more activism.
So
next
cancer
week.
special
So
next week.
Well, it's a really good feel-good story that they've got, and we know them well socially now. So I think they're going to relax into the scene. Quinton will be with us next week as well, from the Clear Option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be talking lang dank as usual. Folks,
let's have a quick look at this a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Michael
Nice.
Oosthuizen, he's talking about Swaziland having crops in flower soon now. They're called Croptobers.
Okay.
Sativas will regrow and produce bad quality before they set off in they basically go back in mid-October, yeah. So it is early to plant because they are gonna re-veg and it's all gonna get hectic. Yeah. Martin Latham and Ganja Star. Brew, we're going to have you on the HotBox. We'll give you a couple of intravenous ones of these. We'll set your THC levels up for about 2 weeks, Brew.
You know, I think we should start doing to make some fucking dollar bills? We need to start canning the air in here. And selling it.
Real HotBox air.
Authentic. Guys, please remember, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and talk shit with us in the comments. Tell us what you want to talk about. If you see some interesting Skinner or stories, put it in the comments. I'm watching.
And thanks, Jeremy, for hooking up with us for half an hour. Thank you for giving up your day for that. Cool.
Cool. Stay lit.
Thank you, guests.
Cool, man.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye,
Thank you.